Hey, Dens. Remember when we had to push that piss-soaked mantlet up to the gates of Byron Castle? This smell is taking me back.
How could I forget? You've been stuck to my side ever since. Like all these flies to their dung.
Hey, you're lucky. You found the only fly in the world capable of handling a sword and a crossbow.
I'm a little curious how we managed to lose Tatakios considering we were standing right next to him in the last cutscene and he was within eyesight.
Is allowed to walk the stones of the palace.
No lord to serve any more warriors.
The Varangians honor their word regardless.
I applaud them for managing to maintain such a calm conversational tone while they're being slaughtered. Maybe they had already accepted they were going to die as soon as they saw us and they were just like, well, this is it. I still really have no idea how he could have possibly lost Tatakios. Did he activate a speed boost or something? We missed a potentially very funny scene where we tried to get in good favor with the Varangians by saying, we're with Tatakios, it's okay. That's an A+ scene right there. How could you leave that out? I'm going to assume they left that scene for the special director's cut of Cursed Crusade. That's kind of a funny thought, isn't it? This game is obviously the director's direct vision, you know? It's so weird and messy that there's no possible way that they had to leave anything out. I'm not trying to complain here because I love it when people are obviously eager to work on something, and the people who worked on this obviously wanted to a great deal, because nobody was demanding this game be made. They really had a story they wanted to tell, and they obviously got it through. I don't know how they got someone to publish it, but Kiloton's made a lot of, somewhat respectable titles in the past, so maybe that's how you get in good favor to publish something like this. It's pretty appropriate that Atlas published the American version because this game is very Japanese. I don't find most Japanese hack and slashes to be quite this repetitive, but the game design is there. I did cut out a lot of filler, so when I talk about the repetition, you might not notice it as much as I had. And when I say filler, I mean actual filler, like levels or locations that add absolutely nothing to the story at all. To the point that you won't notice they're missing. I mentioned in the last episode the morals of this situation, but I mentioned way earlier, probably back in the second chapter of the game, that the morals make sense if you take them in context with the time period. That only works if the developers aren't ashamed of that. Like, I was perfectly fine with accepting Dens and Esteban as they were, and this is a brutal time period, so that's just how it is, but the developers obviously didn't want us to see them that way. They were concerned about them being seen as actual heroes to, you know, modern people. And because they're concerned about that, I have to take it that way. This area up here has a lot of archers, but we can perfectly fine just run past all of them without any hassle. The only issue is that Esteban will sometimes try and stop to shoot them, even though, you know, you're clearly not doing the same. What happened to Esteban's idea for running away from every dangerous situation? That would be very useful here, where it's needed the most. If you wait by the door long enough, eventually he will show up.
Come give me a hand here.
Coming!
Is this all that remains of the grandeur of the Greeks?
Whiners and liars!
We should have pillaged your city on the day we arrived, and never placed our trust in your emperor. Any last words, Captain?
Heretics! If not by my hand, the Lord will send more of his warriors to oust you from our land. Despicable worms.
Ah! Look who's here! Our two traitors! And thieves at that!
What? You dare call me a thief? Me?
De Flandre! You are the one who betrayed the Byzantines' honor and plotted behind the backs of the Crusaders.
Coming!
You've chosen the wrong side, boy. Good. That means we can finally settle this old grudge.
It's time for the final showdown against Deflander, and this is actually one of the toughest boss fights, not because Deflander is tough, but because of the way the boss fight is set up. Deflander is just as easy to beat on as he always is. The problem is that there are infinitely spawning enemies after he turns into his demon form. And a lot of the infinitely spawning enemies will have spears, which is not good.
You won't defeat me!
Right here we're in an ideal situation. Most of the enemies are focusing on Esteban, which leaves us with Deflander and only one other enemy. You'd think this would make it easy for me to take out Deflander. But whenever there's a spare moment without getting hit, Deflander likes to activate his curse powers, which means we have to do a QuickTime event. This doesn't necessarily make the boss fight harder, it just makes it go on longer. So the characters have talked about how tough Tadakios is, but he just lost to Deflander, and he was the easiest boss in the game. I kind of feel like Tadakios is going to need our help whether he likes it or not, if he can't even take down Deflander by himself. Now there is something I like about Tadakios, in that he refuses to trust Dins and Esteban because they came here with the Crusade and kind of pillaged and destroyed, you know, all of his comrades. Even though as soon as we figured out what de Montferrat was up to, we decided to do the right thing, and we tried to take down Merciful. That was after we found out what was going on here, and before that, we were just ruthlessly murdering innocent people. So even though we apparently had a change of heart and decided we wanted to do what was right, you really can't blame Tadakios for having a hard time following that. I mean, I certainly wouldn't believe us. Hopefully saving his life a second time will help a little bit with that. But yes, we're the good guys now in the more modern superhero sense of the word. The motivation is a little fuzzy, but it doesn't matter. We want to take down the bad guy. Alright, that's what we're doing right now. We're good guys. And we're getting pretty close, right? De Montferrat is taken care of, and we only have one more relic to find. We never did actually find out what de Montferrat's evil plan is, but we shouldn't worry about that. Maybe some things are better left undiscovered.
There's one nice thing I can cross off my list, Deflander. I've dreamt of seeing you eat dust.
Tadakios, listen to me. De Montferrat covets the relic the princess possesses. She's in grave danger, and you won't be able to protect her without our help.
You saved my life once again, but I do not trust you. Your words are a mask to your dark intentions.
Don't be ridiculous, Tadakios. Don't you see that de Montferrat is our enemy? Who knows what he's got up his sleeve for these relics?
We think he's going to use the crucifixion relics to carry out some kind of ritual of ascension. You must help us stop him, Tadakios. Lead us to the princess.
What guarantee do I have that you won't turn against me at your first advantage?
The word of a Templar. Our oaths are never sworn more than once.
I will trust you then. What choice do I have? I want to believe, in the name of the princess, that I will not come to regret this.
You won't, warrior.
Dens? Where did Deflander go?
He got away. Something tells me we haven't heard the last of him, Esteban.